Hey everybody, and welcome back to RC Insiders. Down here in the underground secret bunker location. Today we're going to be taking the Traxxas Slash VXL. We're going to be installing the racing gears that come with it. I don't know if last week you saw we did the speed test Traxxas Slash VXL on the 3S LiPo battery. I think we got it up to around 45 miles an hour. Traxxas claims by switching to the race gears that come with your VXL that you should be able to get 60. So we did some digging around, and we figured out that you need to get a 86 tooth spur gear and a 23 tooth pinion gear, and that's what's recommended by Traxxas to reach our 60 mile an hour mark. Now, all we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to take your wheel off, your right rear wheel, so give us access to the gear cover. So be careful you don't lose none of your nuts and bolts so you don't have to run nowhere. I'm going to go ahead and use that tire as a jack. And guys, here's our new spur gear and our new pinion gear. So we're going to run 23 tooth on the pinion, 86 tooth on the spur gear. And we get these on Amazon's for like $4 or $5 each. We'll leave a little link in the description if you want to pick them up. Only takes you about a day or so to get them. Alright, now we got our tire off. Make sure you can see that. That's your gear cover. I believe that is a 5/64 hex bit that will take that gear cover off. You got two screws, one down here on the bottom. Man, I hope you guys can see. It should come off nice and easy. Man, I hope you guys enjoyed that last video, man. This thing is an absolute blast and a beast to run. I hope this gets it up to 60 because I really want to see it. Okay, you got one more screw up top. And that'll get your gear cover off. Remember that when you go to put it back on, if your screws come out, you're going to have a shorter screw on the bottom. Longer screw goes on the top. Just try to keep them in there, and that way you don't forget. Alright. Now we're going to attack this spur gear. You can either use the little thing, the little 4-way lug wrench that comes with your Slash, or I believe, is that the same size as the tire? And you can use the same nut driver that you use on the tire. That's not the same as that. Alright guys, so you see what's happening. There's this nut on the thing, on the spring here, that holds your spur gear in and spinning. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this wheel and put it back on here temporarily. See if we can get that to stop spinning. Just for a second. Get your axles to stop spinning. There we go. Alright. Don't lose that nut. Tire back off. Back on the jack stand. Get your little spring off there. Go ahead and remove your spur gear. Don't lose your slipper clutch. Alright, so you see the pads on the back of the disc. So what we got to do is we got to take that little bearing out, and then you're going to have 3 screws right here. And I believe it was a T15 hex bit It'll fit right in there to get those off. Where is my... I wonder if that'll work. Pop that bearing out. You basically want to just get something in behind it. Oh, and there goes your bearing. That bearing looks pretty good. Go ahead and check it out while you got yours open. If it needs to be replaced, now's the perfect time to do it. So basically, just remember what it looks like. You're just going to put it back onto the new spur gear. Same way it comes off here. It's just 3 little pads. Definitely don't lose none of these little screws, guys, because you probably don't have these laying around. Get it in the hole. That's your little plate, and that's going to go right back onto the new spur gear. I'm trying to move on quick, guys. I don't want to take too long. There's our new spur gear. So we're basically going to downsize the spur gear to an 86 tooth. So basically, the smaller your spur gear and the bigger your pinion gear, the higher the top speed you should get. If you're just looking for torque, you know, quick takeoff, traction, you know, you're just doing some general bashing, you want to stay with the larger tooth, the more tooth spur gear. Okay. Alright guys, we're going to go ahead and put this put the plate back on to the spur gear, and we'll see you in just a second. Alright guys, we're back. So we got the disc and the little friction pads back onto the new spur gear. So we'll go ahead and keep that off to the side from when we want to switch back. Now we're going to get the pinion gear out. Use the little Allen wrench that came with your Traxxas. You see there on the top of the pinion gear, there's a small set screw that holds this pinion gear onto the motor shaft. So go ahead and remove that, loosen it up. And then your pinion gear will slide right off of there. As long as it's not stripped. Looks like it's in good shape. We'll go ahead and keep it. We want to switch back, and we'll go ahead and get our new 23 tooth pinion gear out. And you'll see it has a new set screw that comes with it. So when you're opening the package, be careful that you don't lose that little screw. Normally take just like a little razor knife or something to open these little packages. So go ahead and get the new one out. Don't lose that little set screw. You can use the old one, but I'm going to go ahead and take that little tiny set screw. I'm going to put it up here where I can't lose it. Okay guys, 23 tooth. So what you're going to notice is on the top of your motor shaft right here, there's a little flat spot on the top. So that's basically where you're gonna put your set screw. So you'll see a little hole on the top, and you just want to make sure that that hole is lined up with the flat spot on your shaft. And get that little guy. Let's just go ahead and put them right on the end of your Allen wrench there. Should stick on there. Go ahead and get in there and get it started. It's a little tricky, but I know you guys can handle it. Okay, so you feel it tightening it up, and just let's back it off just a hair so it can move a little bit. And I'll show you why here in a minute. Go ahead and leave that Allen wrench right in there. Next up, get the slipper clutch plate, put that back on. I hope you guys can see okay from there. There's some little notches in the plate, and they need to line up with the little protrusions, we'll call them, that stick up. Like, it's always a pain in the butt to get them to stay where they need to be. Once you get that lined up right, you're going to take your spur gear and get that in there. The trick is to get that to stay. So what I like to do is I like to turn it on edge like that. You can see it better. You can see the little nubs that the slipper clutch disc will sit on. That should give you a pretty good view of what we're looking at. Once you get that in place, then we'll go ahead and put this spur gear back on. Go ahead and get your, remember that little spring you took off? Put that on next. Then the little nut. Get that tightened, start tightening that up. Make sure you're not cross-threading it like I just did. Make sure it's going on there, nice and smooth to start. Okay, so that's your setup that you should be looking at, and then we're going to lay it back down because I got to put that tire back on to stop the axle from spinning. And we're just putting that on there temporarily. So guys, this is why we left this part a little bit loose, so that your pinion gear, so we can get it to line up with where the spur gear ends up. Let's get that 737, that 732nd nut driver back on. Turn this over to tighten. And we'll go ahead and start tightening that nut back up. Okay, I'm gonna get that nice and tight. Okay. Okay, now guys, if you can see down in here, what we're looking to do is just make sure that your spur gear and your pinion gear are lined back up in a nice line. And we're going to go ahead and tighten that little set screw. Make sure that you're still on the flat spot on the little shaft that comes out of the motor. Go ahead and give that a good tighten. And that's it. So now we are all set up to run our top speed gearing. So I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to find the controller for this, and we're going to turn it on and make sure it works before we go through the trouble of putting it back together. Alright guys, we found the controller finally. So one more thing before you test it is you always want to make sure that your gear mesh is set properly. So you're just going to take a standard piece of notebook paper, and if that goes through there tight but not too tight, as long as it can move freely, it means your gear mesh is set well. We set this one not long ago. If you guys are not sure how to set the gear mesh on it, check out the video. We leave one of the recommended videos here at the end that'll go in depth in detail on how to get these gear meshes set. There's only a couple screws you got to mess with. But for this one, that's all set. So we're going to go ahead and test this out real quick before we put it together. If you're going to make a test like this, guys, make sure you lift it up, because you still got the other tire on the other side. It'll go taking off on you. So let's test it out. Oh yeah. Does that look like it's 60 miles an hour? I guess we shall find out. So all we got to do is put the tire back on. Make sure she pops in place. Hopefully by the end of this you didn't lose your lug nut. Get that put back on. Well, you know what? Well, will that be in the way of putting the gear cover back on? I think it will. Yeah, you caught me. We missed the step, guys. So let's don't forget. Gotta put the gear cover back on. Alright, I'm busted. Alright, let me make sure I got the right size bit for that. That was a 5/64 hex bit, I believe, yes. Alright, before you put your tire back on, sorry guys, go ahead and get your gear cover back on first. Let's make life easier. And these guys, these screws don't have to be super tight. You can strip them pretty easy. You're going into just basically screwing in the plastic. Just get them snug. We're trying to just keep as much dirt and water and debris and stuff out of there as possible. Alright, let's get that tire back on there. Alright, while I'm doing that, guys, just letting you know that we do, if you want to sign up to our email list, we're going to leave a little link in the description for that. If you sign up for our email list, you're automatically entered to win our contests that we do. We do some pretty cool giveaways. I think up next is we're giving away a cool little Supernova Spy Quad drone. Yeah, I think that's our next prize. So anyway, you just sign up to our email list. It's not for us to spam you or nothing like that, but we do give away some cool stuff. And once you enter once, you will be entered forever as long as you stay subscribed. You'll be eligible to win every prize. Alright guys, that is how to replace the pinion gear and the spur gear on a Traxxas Slash VXL 2-wheel drive. We hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a little thumbs up, and we appreciate it if you subscribe. That would be awesome. And if you tune in next week, we're going to get this thing out to the runway there, to the testing grounds, bust out the old Bushnell speed radar gun, and we're going to put this thing to another speed test, supposedly, hopefully, with the 3S LiPo and 86 tooth spur gear, 23 tooth pinion gear. We will be able to hit 60 miles an hour with the Slash. And if not, well, we're going to put another pinion gear in there until we do get it up to 60 miles an hour. So, alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next week.